Hello, adventurers. I am Fran Tarauskis, and you are listening to Seize Your Adventure. And for those of you that are very attentive to the Seize Your Adventure feed, this episode might be one that you recognise. So for season 3, I was planning to do article episodes followed by a Q&A that was for patrons only. But I had a slight issue with my podcast hosting, and my Patron episodes suddenly went public for a little while. I noticed that quite a few of you managed to download and listen to those ones, and it got me thinking about whether it was right to keep the Q&As as Patron only for this season. So I had a chat with my patrons. They are very happy for the Q&A episodes to be public, and I decided to put Cameron's episode back up as an official public episode. So for those of you that haven't already listened, I hope you really enjoy this one. Cameron has some great information and some great ideas about how to adventure with epilepsy. And there isn't a full transcript of this, but there is a written version of this Q&A on the website, which I can link in the show notes. So patrons will no longer be getting bonus episodes every single month, but they are still going to be getting early access to the Q&A episodes. And for patrons at $5 and above, they're also going to be getting a brand new miniseries. So this miniseries is going to tell the Race to the Stone story from way back in 2019. It's something which you've heard me talk about a little bit on the podcast, but I haven't told the whole story. And it's a work in progress, something that I'm still writing, but I recorded another part of it today. If you sign up as a patron at $5 or above, you'll be able to hear the next episode of that dropping next month. But for now, I hope you enjoy this Q&A with Cameron. We will crack straight on with those ones if you are happy for me to. Just for clarity, and for anybody who's dropping in on the conversation here, you have obviously called a few different places home, and we heard that in your story. Where are you currently based? Where are you at the moment?
Now I'm in close to Zurich, but I've been living in California in a place where I grew up. It's called Mammoth Lakes. It's about 5 hours north of LA in the mountains, close to Yosemite National Park.
Yeah, so you're not as close to the ocean as you sometimes are. How much surfing do you do these days?
As much as I have time for.
It's definitely the one that you usually go to, surfing. But is there anything else that you do that's kind of like adventure sports or any other sports that you do when you're not able to surf, when you're not able to get to the ocean?
Yeah, I snowboard, I ski, I backcountry ski, I cycle. Just, whatever the day is good for, I guess.
Yeah, beautiful. And hopefully you'll be able to do a little bit of that whilst you're over in Switzerland for a few weeks you're there.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't close the ski resorts.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. So one of the questions that we always like to know, the famous question on Seize Your Adventure, what does adventure mean to you?
Yeah, I was thinking about that one day when I heard you ask somebody else on the podcast. I mean, it's a tough one. I think when I was younger, it would have been like getting out there and just getting after whatever it is, mountains, water, ocean, whatever. But now I kind of think it's more a thing of like just being courageous and or brave in whatever situation you may be going through, and really trying to not not back down when challenges come your way, because I mean, of course, getting outside is what we all really like to do, but we all know that's not everything that life holds. Going on a hike or whatever, or paddling out at a new surf spot you've never been to is, of course, adventure. But that all has that, that being brave and courageous and paddling out, even if you're not sure how shallow or how deep it is, or how cold the water is, or how long your hike's going to be, or whatever avalanche danger there may be. And then for me, for a lot of years, that's really translated into life. I mean, I have an international marriage, and that can be really tricky. It's always confusing of where should we live. Yeah. They're both really great places, and we have family and friends in both. And I don't know. Of course, with epilepsy, it's a major challenge. Anyone who has it knows, and you just gotta. For me, it's a big thing to just still live, even though I have this going on, and be brave enough to say, like, hey, I got to go to bed, or can't come tomorrow, or if you're feeling well, then great, then all systems go and you go for it. But yeah, that for me is adventure. It's just really being the woman or the man that you're supposed to be in the situation you're in, because it's easy to take the easy road in life, in the mountains, in on a bike, in water, whatever. But it's quite adventurous to be like, to step up and let your character and your positive side of yourself take over.
Yeah, that is a really nice answer. And I think you are the first person that has said to be brave, which is interesting, because I think quite a lot of us are probably described as being brave for doing adventure sports, and particularly adventure sports with a seizure condition. But I don't think we describe ourselves as brave that often. So that's a really nice answer, and thank you for bringing that up. I don't think it's something we've discussed that much. With that in mind, what would you say is your most recent adventure? When were you most recently adventurous?
We climbed a little peak the other day near my house before we got on the airplane. Something that you look at every day across the lake there, and we didn't know quite how to get out there. Just jumped in the truck and followed some dirt roads that were in that general direction until we found a decent place to park, and then just kind of kept following that road, hoping it was going to get to the top of this little mountain, and we made it.
Yeah,
so that was good. And something else I've been doing that is like kind of ties into that last answer I gave is, I mean, I've started surfing with a life jacket on, and in Southern California, it's hard to call surfing down there an adventure because there's like 50 other guys out in the water or people, and I don't know, that's people look at you weird when you're wearing a life jacket and it's waist high or chest high waves.
Yeah, that is something. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, and then because of that, though, then I found this guy that makes flotation wetsuits that are kind of beyond, that they're meant for people that have a condition or a disability. I mean, he takes guys, this one guy out that's paraplegic or quadriplegic actually, and it's got enough flotation in it to float that that man, and now I'm starting to work with him and trying to create a wetsuit that's surf friendly, and that could potentially roll a person over if they're unconscious. Like if you're laying face down, it could roll you over on your back. So be for epileptics and or anyone that gets knocked unconscious in the water. Could be hopefully life-saving and very freeing for people that, you know, that maybe have given up on water sports because of any conditions they may have.
That's incredible.
That's
yeah.
Adventurous.
Yeah, that is incredible. That's something that, like you say, we are starting to get people that are interested in doing things to help people get out there more. And if you guys can crack that, that'll be life-changing for so many people, I think.
Yeah, even just to swim, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's something that I've spoken about with a couple of people recently, that idea of if you're having to do adaptations or you're having to look after yourself a little bit more than some people might have to, and you are saying, I'm going to finish up for today, guys, or you're kind of doing things like wearing the life jacket when other people wouldn't, or wearing a helmet where other people wouldn't. That's something which I've done for sure. It does take a certain amount of bravery to just kind of buck the trend and not go into peer pressure of, oh no, stay out for a little bit longer, you can keep going, you can do it. And like you say, just being true to yourself and listening to yourself on that side of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, great points there. Moving on from that, would you say anything to somebody who's recently been diagnosed with epilepsy?
Oh man. It would depend on their mood and attitude at the time. You know, if they were devastated and didn't know how to continue and all that, I could try, but I would almost let them do the talking.
Yeah, I think that's lovely. Again, that's something which I haven't really heard from a lot of people. I think that we very much like to try and speak to someone the way that we would have wanted to be spoken to. But as you say, everyone's different. So just listening to how someone's feeling, maybe that's all they need sometimes. So yeah, a good thing to remember for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I heard I was out on a run and I was listening to you and Jared Muscat one time, and he was just kind of driving home the point that nobody knows, you know, like nobody that doesn't have epilepsy knows what you are going through as a person with a seizure disorder. I think that's the direction I would go. I'd be like, hey, look, I know what this is. You know, all of us people that are kind of fighting against this, for warriors against it, or hoping for a better future for ourselves, we can go after it together, and that there is a community out there, you know, that's willing to talk about it and knows the struggles you're going through and the fear and the anxiety and I mean, you know how it is when you get diagnosed or anything like that, it freaks you out. You don't know how to continue on with life. And so, yeah, anyway, just to clarify my answer, I think that's the direction I would go with it, would be to be like, man, I understand, or you know, it's not the end of the world. As terrible as it is, we can continue on from that point of diagnosis.
Yeah, beautiful. So obviously you were saying there you've listened to the Seize Your Adventure episodes, and particularly the one with Jared, who I believe put us in touch with each other however many years ago now.
Yeah.
Aside from Seize Your Adventure, are there any other podcasts, either adventure podcasts or epilepsy related or health related in general? Are there any podcasts that you would recommend to readers? Or listeners, rather.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a jungle out there with podcasts. There are some that I like, not necessarily the adventure ones, because I went through a time of like running triathlons and things like that, and I'm kind of a person that tends to get into something and really kind of overdo it. So that's how, to me, some of the podcasts that I hear about, like getting out in the mountains or in nature, from what I've heard, unless you've got like I said, a better suggestion, I just hear they're all about just pushing so hard and kind of like they seem kind of forceful. But I don't know. That's just quick judgments of hearing, a couple minutes of a podcast. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
No, I think there's definitely starting to become a few more that are a bit more inclusive and a bit more about the enjoyment rather than the further, faster and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
There's quite a few podcasts out there that are very much about the extreme, push yourself. And as you know, we're very much kind of the opposite with that with Seize Your Adventure. And we're enjoy yourself.
Definitely.
And enjoy.
Exactly. And that's the safety aspect of people that are dealing with the condition we have, and I think just health in general. I don't know. I mean, I've hammered my body and it just doesn't feel good the little bit older you get. I mean, I'm not old. I'm 37, but I can feel stuff more due to things I've done in the past, and it's more for the fun of it rather than, I'm not going to set any world records or anything. But continue on to the podcast. If there's anything I can recommend, I do listen to the Mindset Mentor. He's actually kind of well known, I believe, at least from what he says. It's called Mindset Mentor. And it's just really helpful stuff for kind of just everyday life. It can really apply to anybody's life, I feel like. And he is, I mean, the title sort of says it all. He really helps you try to find power within yourself, within your own mind, your mindset, positivity, gratitude, all that stuff. So that's great. There is another funny podcast. It's called, I think it's called Fish Out of Water. And it's these people from Canada, a man and a lady. And they also have epilepsy.
I think I know the one you mean. Yeah, that is quite a good one. That is one that
they're pretty comical about it, and it's just a good one to listen to, like I said, people that know what you're going through, and they can make light of it, they can be serious about it, they give advice on, they're not doctors, but they just are trying to help people that are like them, that have epilepsy or a seizure disorder, get through life, basically. And they do it well. They're funny.
Thank you for reminding me of that one. I've listened to it a while ago, and I think it's just got lost in my massive list of podcasts that I listen to. So I'll have to go back to that one and remind myself of it for sure. That's mostly my questions done with, but is there anything else that you thought that I would ask, or anything else that you would like listeners to know?
Let me think real quick.
Jump that one on you.
Yeah,
Always put people on the spot at the end.
that's all right. I mean, I want everyone to know, not just listeners, but whoever's going through, a seizure disorder, disability, a sickness, or COVID, who knows what it is these days, or even like an addiction, anything that kind of, because obviously major disabilities are visible, and everyone refers to what we're dealing with epilepsy as kind of an invisible sickness, and there's so much stuff that can be that way. My poor mother-in-law has she's manic depressive, and it's just really, it's so sad because it's also invisible. I know her as well as my wife and her family and her brothers and sisters, and now I've gotten to know her quite well, and we can see the signs coming when it's like, uh-oh, we could have a bad couple months coming up here. But I would like people to know that have any of these visible or invisible challenges, sicknesses, disabilities, to just, I guess, just stay hopeful. I know how hard it is. It's so hard. Like, it's ridiculously hard to stay hopeful for whatever the case may be, whether it's healing or not being lonely, or whatever it is. But I don't know. I mean, all those cliches you hear, like keep your head up and all that stuff, they're not just cliches for no reason. They come from somewhere, and it's like, that's the only chance we have, is hope and gratitude for the things we still do have. I mean, whoever hears my story is going to know that a few years ago, I mean, every moment I have now is just a pure gift and a miracle, that I'm, number one, not dead, number two, not brain dead, number three, not severely disabled due to the drowning and lack of oxygen for so long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to just say, like, hey, anything's possible and all that stuff, but I know there's just such tragic stories out there that I don't want to be that guy that's just saying something foolish in the face of what terrible things people are dealing with. But I guess just hope and reaching out and talking to your family or those that are closest to you, or friends, or whatever, and finding a community like Seize Your Adventure, or for people with addictions, like a group that could get you out of that addiction, because those communities they're invaluable. This podcast and texting off and on with Jared Muscat, and opening up to my friends that don't have, the guys I surf with or whatever, or ski or snowboard with, that don't have epilepsy, but they know my situation. Even that is really freeing.
Yeah.
A lot of these things, these challenges, they can eat you up from the inside out, just like keeping a secret or whatever. And my belief is it's got to come out, and it's scary, to be honest, but it's very worth it.
It's a great way to end it.